So going back to CMC, if I do CMC abduction, I'm going to ask her to bring her thumb out to the side like this, like that. And I'm going to ask her to hold it. I'm going to stabilize here at the CMC joint. I'm going to ask her not to let me push her hand in. Okay, hold it. Only push your thumb in. And I'm going to be pushing on the metacarpal, not at the tip of the finger. Okay, so I'm going to push here. Okay, and she would be 5. Okay. The same thing with adduction. She's going to hold her hand this way. Okay, and then I am going to actually hold onto the pad of her fingers here, the pad of her thumb, and I'm going to try to pull the metacarpal into abduction. So I'm going to hold here. Don't let me pull out. Okay, good. And so you can see I'm stabilizing her hand here. I'm stabilizing her CMC joint with my thumb as I'm pulling out. Okay. Okay. So now, for CMC extension, I'm going to ask her to bring her thumb up. I'm going to, and remember, I'm going to try to move this into flexion, so I'm going to be moving it this way. I'm going to try to push it this way. Okay? So at her metacarpal, again, at her metacarpal, I'm going to stabilize the CMC joint. I'm going to say, don't let me push it down, and I'm going to push on her metacarpal. Okay? Now, flexion, I'm going to try to bring her thumb out this way, but I'm only going to be grabbing at the metacarpal because that's my one joint. You don't have a whole lot of space, so you have to really just do it with one finger. I'm going to support the CMC joint. I'm going to say, don't let me pull your thumb up. I'm going to try to move it up and out. Okay?
Do these have plus or minuses?
Yes, you can do it plus and minuses just by the effort and the amount of resistance that she gets and how much range of motion she can go through. Okay? All right. MP flexion. Okay. So again, I'm going to ask her to move her thumb out this way. I'm going to stabilize the MP joint. I'm going to take my little finger here and I'm going to say, don't let me pull it up. Okay? I'm going to try to pull up there. Okay? Same thing with MP extension. I'm going to ask her to straighten it out. Stabilize, no, like that. Stabilize the MP joint. I'm going to take my little finger. Now for these, you're not going to do a whole hand because you're testing a hand muscle. So of course it's not going to be as strong as a shoulder where you would be pushing with your whole hand. I'm only going to push with one finger because if I push with my whole hand, then of course I'm going to be able to bend it because they're smaller muscles and they can't take as much. Okay? So straighten it out. Don't let me push down. Good. Okay, the same thing with her IP joint. I'm going to ask her to flex it. Don't let me pull it out. I'm going to take my finger, stabilize the IP joint. I'm going to pull out. Okay? IP extension. I'm going to ask her to straighten her finger out, stabilize the IP joint. Don't let me push down. Did that hurt? Okay. Okay. And so that's how you do that. Okay? So. Oh, is that what needed to happen? Okay. Okay, so, did I do extension? Did I do extension? I did extension. Okay, so now we're on MP flexion. Now, because the flexor digitorum superficialis and profundus act as a unit to flex the fingers, you test them as a unit. Flexor digitorum superficialis, you put your fingers in your palm like this. Say, squeeze my fingers. Okay? And then you put your thumbs on top of her hand. And then you say, don't let me pull your fingers out, okay? Squeeze, okay? And then I'm stabilizing the MP joints with my thumbs as I'm trying to pull out, okay? Now, for the profundus, I take my fingers here, okay? And she's going to curl her hands around. I'm going to say, squeeze my fingers. Now, I usually do this. No, you're going to go ahead and make a full fist. Now, you can see that I have my one hand here, and I do that because our patients, unlike her, they have very long fingernails, She doesn't, so it wouldn't hurt. But if they have very long fingernails, when they curl, they're going to cut into your skin. And to prevent that, I put my hand in her palm like this. Okay? Sorry. I put my hand, one hand in her palm while I'm letting her flex, because then that gives me the distance so that their nails don't dig into my hand. Okay? It doesn't feel good. So, and then I'll say, okay, don't let me pull out, and then I stabilize her joints this way, and I pull out this way. So I'm pulling her fingers. I'm trying to pull her fingers out this way.
How does that stop that? Because I feel like if I had fingernails, I would still dig into you.
Well, it gives me a little bit of a gap, so I can spread my fingers out this way more and give me more distance. You see, if I have my hand this way, you can see where your fingers approximate my joints. If I have my hand here, I have a little bit more distance.
Okay.
Just something I learned. Okay, so now, with extension, this is one of the few that you'll see a 5 where there's a bounce. I know. Because your extensors are not as strong as your flexors. Okay, so watch. Hold your hand out. Don't let me push down. So when I push down, she's automatically going to go down. I mean, and even if I'm pressing with one finger, she's going to go down. Most people will, because the extensors are much weaker. So, but as long as she's giving me a good resistance, she's going to be a 5. Okay. So. Okay. So that's extension, and you would do extension for all of the joints like that. Okay. Just stabilizing at the joint. If I'm doing the PIP joint, I'm going to stabilize at the PIP. I'm going to say, don't let me push your hand down. Okay.
So for extension, you do one finger at a time.
One finger, one joint at a time.
And then flexion, you do the whole thing.
Yep. Yep. You go straight through, and then you stabilize these joints. You go straight through and stabilize these. Okay. Now, AB and AD duction. It's not very hard. You're gonna ask the person whichever finger you're testing. Well, you can tell them to spread their fingers out like this. And if I have them above the table and I'm supporting, then I can say, don't let me push your fingers together. And again, these are a little bit weaker. So they're going to come together. As long as she's giving me a good resistance, then she's a 5. Okay? But think about it. If she's abducting and I'm flexing, my flexors are going to be stronger than her abductors. Just because my flexors are bigger. Okay? And then the same thing for adduction. She's going to hold her fingers together. Don't let me pull them apart. So I'm going to pull this one apart. I'm going to pull this one apart. Okay, and you're going to do that holding on to the proximal phalange. For abduction, you're going to be pushing the proximal phalange. For adduction, you're going to be pulling the proximal phalange forward. So, that's the range of motion and muscle testing over here.